my prom date wanted my best friend at prom. So flashback to my junior year. So I had a big group of friends and most of them had boyfriends. Prom was kind of coming up. It was the winter before prom. So to us, we thought we should start planning because it's our first year of prom. We want to make sure we have our dresses, reservations, everything locked and loaded, who we're going with. So with all my friends having boyfriends, I was like, oh, okay, I should get a prom date. I don't have a boyfriend. I don't want a boyfriend. I want something like non-committal, just a prom date, just to have someone to go to prom with. Enter my really good friend, guy friend, let's call him Matthew. So Matthew went to another high school, the neighboring high school. Matthew's a great guy. I've been friends with him for a couple years. He's also friends with another girl who was in our prom group. Awesome, right? So me and her just thought, oh my gosh, let's just see what Matthew says. So I text Matthew and he's all on board. He's like, oh my gosh, Bella, that would be so fun. Like, you would be so fun at prom. This is totally something you're into. Not really something I'm into, but I will go with you. So since he went to a different school, we're like, okay, so I'll go to your prom, you'll come to my prom. Awesome. Me and Matthew spent a lot of time together planning out what we're doing, colors, and everything like that. He was super awesome with it. And then with prom planning, we became super close. Like, closer than we already were as friends. Like, I'd say we're really, really close friends. Eventually, though, I did kind of start to like him, like a little more than friends. And I think he also started to like me, but I couldn't tell. And I don't want to date anyone, so I'm like, I'm not going to tell him. Whatever, not a big deal. So I went to his prom first. It was a month before mine. It was so much fun. I love hanging out with him. It was such a good time. And yeah, it was perfectly fine. We had a great time. And then my prom was like a month-ish later, right? So my prom, we went with a huge group of people. It was like, I want to say almost 20 people. And most of those girls had boyfriends, hence, you know, why I was bringing Matthew in the first place. Prom date, it would look better together, and having prom date is just fun. With that though, there were a few people in our group who didn't have dates, which of course that's okay. And more people like continuously joined our group throughout prom season. Like, hey, can I join your group and come with you? Yes, of course you can. But some of them don't have boyfriends, so more single ladies like pulled up to the group, which is awesome. So one of the single gals that came with us was my teammate and really close friend, Olivia. We'll call her Olivia. So the day of prom, we had a lot of driving around to do, so everyone took separate cars. In my car, or not my car, the car I was in, Matthew's car. Matthew was driving us. It was me, Matthew, and Olivia, because Olivia didn't have a boyfriend, and I'm really close to Olivia. And I'm like, yes, of course you can come with us. I want you to come with us. So the whole day, it was the whole group, but it was mostly me, Matthew, and Olivia. And to preface, Matthew and Olivia did not know each other before this. They knew of each other, but I don't think they've ever spoke. They knew each other through me. But during prom, there's a lot of people that I knew that neither of them did. So I would be talking to them, and then Matthew and Olivia would just talk with each other. So when prom was over, Matthew dropped off Olivia first, then Matthew brought me to my house. And I don't remember if he said anything to my face, but the second he left my house, he sent me a paragraph talking about how he wants Olivia. Keep in mind, I was really starting to like this guy, and I thought he was liking me too. He was telling me he wants Olivia. He's like, can I get Olivia's number? I just really think I should take the shot. Like, I really want Olivia. Mind you, he's only known her for tonight. And Olivia has a thing with this one guy. This one guy who we saw at prom, but she didn't go with him. So he knows that Matthew knows Olivia has a thing with another man kind of going on. And has only known her for a few hours. Naturally, I was very upset. And I was like, that's so weird. I'm like, here's the number, whatever. Olivia thought it was weird. I thought it was weird. This is where it gets good. So me, Olivia, and Matthew all played the same sport at different schools. Olivia went to my school, Matthew went to different school, but we'd see each other at joint school meets, right? So I don't remember when this occurred. Maybe it was a week or two after. I think it was sooner. But Matthew asked to come to my house. I'm like, sure. He's like, let me apologize. So he did apologize. He's like, that was not okay. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that was really rude to try and go for your friend, especially how my friend has a man, not like a man, but they're chatting and everyone knows they're chatting. So that was just weird. And he apologized, came to my house. I'm like, that's cool, but like, I'm not interested in being friends the way you disrespected me and my other friend. Matthew was like, okay, I'm sorry, da-da-da-da. Maybe a week or two later, Matthew called my phone after I think I saw him IRL. Yes, we had a sports event together, but we didn't interact. And he calls me, he goes, I've liked you all this time. I only did that with your friend to kind of, I don't know, get your attention. I'm not quite sure what I was really doing that for, but I've always liked you. And I'm like, and mind you, I did really like him, but not after he pulled that stunt at prom. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not interested. Thanks for letting me know. Matthew is a really great guy. I do miss our friendship. However, it is what it is. We're going to college in literally a few weeks, and I hope he has a great life. But yeah, I don't talk to Matthew. And if you know who Matthew or Olivia actually are, please do not go slander them. I'm sure most people won't figure out who they are, but if you do know who they are, No shade to Matthew or Olivia. It's just a situation. I love both of them still.
Booking. But let's get into the good part. He actually gets here, I go down to get him, and we are in the lift coming back up to my floor, and this guy is like tweaking. He will not stop twitching. At first I'm like, is that ADHD? No, it's definitely too extreme for ADHD, and I thought maybe this guy has some other sort of disability. Let's not judge him. You've said 2 words to him. Get into the room and see what he's like. We get in here. The second he walks in the door, he handed me the cash straight away. That was the first thing he did, was pull it out, so that was kind of a good sign. He is still twitching a lot, so I'm trying to suss out, I'm like, is this guy on drugs? Or is this some sort of disability of some sort? I'm trying not to jump to conclusions, and I'm trying to have a conversation with him so I can gauge what on earth is going on. I quickly realized that what this guy is saying isn't making sense. He's not continuing on a conversation. Sometimes he is, but other times he's just saying stuff that makes absolutely no sense with what we're talking about. And I think that's when it clicked for me. I'm like, oh God, what is this guy on? But he's in my room now, and he's paid me, and he hasn't actually done anything wrong yet. So I'm like, let's just get this shit done. Let's fucking get this guy in and out. So I send him into the shower. While he's in the shower, I messaged a couple of my friends being like, yeah, I've got a crackhead. Check in with me at this time. Like, somebody make sure I'm okay. We start the booking, and it's very apparent that he is on something, because Mr. Johnson is not cooperating, and that is a common occurrence when these people are on substances like this. I did quite quickly have the realization that that may become an issue if he was to get angry that he could not complete, especially with something as short as a 30-minute, when he's downstairs was not cooperating. That was like one of the first things that kind of locked in my mind, and I'm like, okay, you're gonna need to start thinking about what you're going to say when this guy cannot finish, because you're gonna need to diffuse. We're doing things, and he is just jumping from like one position to another. He's doing something for a few seconds and then he wants to do something else. It is chaotic. It is just all over the place. At one point, he gets down so that my kitty cat is open, and he is talking to my kitty cat like it is a human. He full on had a conversation with my kitty cat for at least 5 minutes straight. And I even intervened and I said, babe, you're not going to have enough time if you keep doing that. Like, you're not going to get to finish if you keep talking to that kitty cat down there. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. He was talking to it about aliens. I don't fucking know what was going on. Like, he was asking it if it knew aliens. He was asking it why it looked like that. Then he looked up at me and asked me if I'd had surgery on it. Then he full on started having a conversation with it like it was a person. Like it was a person. No, he wasn't doing anything else to it. He was literally right in front of it, talking to it. It was the most bizarre thing I have ever experienced in my career. Now, obviously, because he spent so long down there, and before that he was jumping between things and Mr. Johnson wasn't working, he was nowhere near finishing. Buzzer goes off. Mr. Johnson has not been firm at any point, and he has spent half of his booking talking to my kitty cat. Now, I know that I'm likely going to be in trouble in this situation, because this guy is clearly not okay. He's clearly on something. They have a shorter fuse, and he hasn't really got what he paid for, even though I have tried to redirect many times. And I can see in his face that he's a little frustrated. So I redirect. I start talking about how I'm very excited for him to come back tomorrow. It's the only thing I know how to do. I'm like, very casually, like, oh yeah, Mr. Johnson didn't want to cooperate today, but maybe he'll want to cooperate tomorrow. Do you want to see me again tomorrow? I just went into that element because I'm like, I do not know what else to do right now. This guy like completely, fully believed me. He fully thought he was going to get to do another session. I absolutely will not be seeing him again. That seems to satisfy him. He gets in the shower. He is like 2 or 3 minutes overtime while he's in the shower. And then when he gets out, he starts talking to me at the door about how he's going to fly to Brisbane in his UFO, and he's going to roll out a red carpet for me and my kitty cat. It was honestly the most bizarre thing I've ever heard in my life. And this man was like dead serious while he's telling me he's gonna fly in his UFO to Brisbane and roll out a red carpet for me and my kitty cat. What the fuck? Guys, I don't, he left. Okay, and he has messaged since asking if I can send him a photo of a haircut, which I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't know, but thank God it is my last day here, because what the F? And guys, this is just the reality of this job. It is not always glamorous. Sometimes you can't particularly tell that someone is going to be like that before they get here. This industry is not always designer bags and big stacks of cash. You are genuinely putting your life on the line sometimes. I'm very grateful that I managed to diffuse that. I don't know how I freaking did that. I don't know. But let's just hope the rest of my touring, when I hit Sydney, I don't have any of those, because I'm not in the mood to deal with any more crackheads.
Ready with me while I tell you one of my many crazy ex-boyfriend stories. So for context, I met this boy through Snapchat. It actually was one of the first weeks that I ever had Snapchat. I was never allowed to have Snapchat when I was like younger, but my mom was like, okay, since you're getting older, like you can have Snap. So I got Snap, and this boy added me off of Quick Add, right? And obviously me being delusional, I was like, oh, like you're cute, you're tall, you're the country boy, you have pretty blue eyes. Stay away from those, like the Carrie Underwood song tells you to. But I added him off of my Quick Add, and he was very charming. Like, nothing was wrong. I couldn't find any red flags about him, which obviously that was the red flag, is that I couldn't find any red flags about him, you know what I mean? So fast forward, we're like, I don't know, 2 weeks into talking into an in-quote relationship, and I get a text from this girl, and she's like, hey girly, one of those texts, and I'm like, okay, what now? And she sends me this whole paragraph about, you're dating my boyfriend, you're such a homewrecker, what are you doing with him? And I was like, what are you talking about, your boyfriend? Like, we've been dating, and he has no girls added on Snap. Well, for reference, my town is probably a hop, skip, and a jump through a highway like an hour and a half away from his town. So I have no reference of what's going on in this boy's phone, like, whatsoever. And I'm like, no, girl, like, you're crazy. He's my boyfriend. We've been talking. I don't even know who you are. So fast forward, I get my best friend involved in this, and I'm like, hey, girl, can we figure this out? Because this is my boyfriend, and this girl's being crazy. Turns out that we get on a whole group call, and this girl sends us screenshots of what he's been saying to her while we were talking. That was just weird in general. Well, he stops talking to her, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna be done. He comes to my house the next day, and he brings me an apology basket. I'm talking this basket had, like, $140 perfume, his hoodie, all of the things. He bought me a Pandora necklace. Like, we literally went to the mall to go get this personally engraved necklace, and everything was good, for the next 2 months, probably, month and a half. We didn't really date for that long, but, like, month and a half, he was fine, like, I had his passwords and everything. I had his Snap login, I had his TikTok login, Instagram login, literally everything. Well, just because you have his logins doesn't mean that you know anything, girl. Let me just throw that out there. So with reference, in these 2-ish months that we were talking, he bought me a promise ring, bought me a necklace, bought me expensive perfume. We went out on dates all the time, love bombing at its finest. Well, we get towards the end of us talking. I knew nothing about this, by the way, and he kind of just starts ghosting me. And I'm like, what? Like, why are you not answering me? Why are you not going on? Can we talk about this? So 3 days go by, and he proceeds not to answer me, and I finally get a call from one of his friends that's basically like, hey, he's been out at a party, like, there's girls around him, drinking, smoking, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, like, I'll just leave it alone. Sorry about the dust. I was like, I'll just leave well enough alone and end it. Well, I can't ever just leave well enough alone, so obviously I'm, like, calling and texting him, and I'm, like, psycho B-word that I am, and I was like, why in the world do you think it's necessary to block me and ignore me and ghost me when we're literally in a relationship, right? So he wouldn't answer several of my calls. I probably called him 30 times in 3 days, and I finally got a hold of my best friend, and I'm like, hey, make him answer. I don't know, like, what it's going to take to get him to answer the phone. So he calls me, and we have this little chit chat, and he's been telling me, I just want to be done. And I'm like, okay, well, like, we can get you help. What can I do for you? And he's like, no, I don't need your help. And I'm like, okay, well, we need to get you some type of resources, if you know what I'm saying. So me being the caring but also obsessive ex/girlfriend at the time that I decided to text his cousin on TikTok. And I'm like, hey, can you check on him for me? Like, I think something's going on. Sent her the screenshots. I get a text back from her that's like, oh, he's been hanging out with his ex. So I sent him the screenshots, and I'm like, WTF? what are you talking about? And he's like, no, like, proceeds to send me the screenshots of her saying, I'm just trying to get your psychotic girlfriend away from you. Like, so I told her you were hanging out with your ex. And he's like, stop trying to get my business. Like, I'm not hanging out with my ex. Leave me alone. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm going to leave well enough alone. So I call his mom, right? And at this point, I didn't have to get her involved. I chose to get her involved. And I sent her a message basically saying, like, I think that your son's trying to, you know, and I sent her the proof, and she's like, oh, you know, like, as any mom would, kind of stress out about it. He told me that he had tried to run his truck into a tree to, you know, and so I sent his mom the screenshots, and she's like, oh, well, he's told me that he's been fine, like, he's staying with his dad, whatever. And I'm like, that's really odd. So later, we get on this phone call, right? After he found out that I told his mom, and he's, like, freaking out on me, and he's like, why did you tell my mom about all of my business? That was none of your place to tell my mom. And I was like, hey, like, I was just trying to be, you know, helpful, whatever. And he was like, just stay out of my life. I literally lied to you the whole time about trying to myself because I wanted you to leave me alone, and I was trying to ghost you so that I could go party. What? Like, you literally lied about that, and people are out here actually struggling. You need help. Yes, you need help. So, I don't know. That was one of the craziest ex-boyfriend stories that I have. I have several more if this video goes well, but I'm going to go do my lashes off camera. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this was entertaining because my love life sucks, so